I have always aspired to be a vacationista, the woman in the airport with her black outfit and nude leather carry-on, appearing to be graceful as she waltzes through security without her belongings tumbling over like a mess in plastic bins. Carrying a latte in one hand, texting her equally refined Italian boyfriend that she will arrive in Rome in a quick 12 hours. She has an air of benign arrogance, and people stare at her in wonder while they drink their Coke, eat a Subway sandwich, and dig through an oversized tote bag looking for their wallet. That would be me. I am the opposite of a vacationista. I am simply an amateur traveler longing to be more. In Amsterdam, for example, a vacationista can walk around cobblestone roads, in heels, discover hidden restaurants, make friends with the locals, and easily differentiate between coffee shops and coffee shops. I, on the other hand, am always perpetually lost. Never-ending wrong turns keep me from arriving at landmarks even when they are in eye's view. That said, I must always carry a map, an accessory that vacationistas never carry. I'm not entirely to blame for my GPS deficiencies. I am the product of the development of the urban grid. Cities like Amsterdam have circular orientations, which make no sense to me. On the grid, the layout of the streets is rational. This is why people have been designing cities in this framework for over 4,000 years. One of the greatest examples of the grid, of course, is Manhattan, and its orderly delineation of streets and avenues running north-south and east-west. The address indicates your exact street-avenue intersection, and with that, you can determine the distance of your trip. It helps you answer important questions like, should I wear my ballerina flats or my FME pumps? I excel at being a fashionista in Manhattan. But the island of Manhattan, or New Amsterdam, did not start out in grid format, and when the Dutch first settled the island, the southern portion was developed into a series of randomly plotted out streets that honored neither geography nor good sense. To this day, Lower Manhattan, home to Chinatown and Tribeca, consistently confuse people. In fact, one Halloween at the beginning of Tribeca's transformation, when homeless people were living where $10 million condos now stand, and before cell phones, a young Texas woman dressed as a decapitated tango dancer wandered around Chamber Street trying to find a Halloween party. To this day, I blame the Dutch and rejoice that New York City planners finalized the grid in 1811, leaving behind the nonsense of Lower Manhattan. If they hadn't, it would be as confusing as Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a 12th century city based upon water. As it evolved into a network of 150 canals in order to accommodate commerce from the North Sea, it became a city of endless loops and curves, highlighting the boats that utilize its waterway with little concern to the people on shore. For a woman with no internal GPS, Amsterdam is a bitch to get around in. While I was on holiday in Amsterdam, I embarked on my first morning trip knowing I would get lost, but relishing the idea that this time I might become a vacationista. My goal was to walk 15 minutes to the Gossan Diamond House. I followed the directions of the concierge and headed out to see how diamonds are transformed from clumps of carbon into amazingly beautiful, sparkling things. This is a pretty good plan for a lovely Dutch morning. The sun was shining brightly, reflecting its light off the canal, and the rows of houses looked like a picture book. I could not stop myself from daydreaming. Who were the rich merchants that lived here some 500 years ago? How many girls looked down from third-story windows watching rugged Dutchmen load and unload precious cargo? How many of those men gazed upward for a single glimpse of beauty? In the midst of this daydreaming, I made a wrong turn. Was I now on Rosenstraat or Bloemenstraat? Didn't I just see that leaning house with the red shutters? I had no clue where I was, and each step I took surely moved me in the wrong direction. The houses that seemed charming just a few minutes ago now seemed to generically sneer and taunt me, their sun-dappled facade just a ruse to hide street signs. Canals which had previously inspired my historical musings all looked exactly alike. My passage to the Diamond House was being thwarted. But I told myself not to get stressed out. This is part of being a vacationista. I'm going to rock around glamorously and make memories, not giving a damn that I'm booked for a tour in 20 minutes. I will magically meander to where I am meant to be. Perhaps this is true for some, but not for me. When I get lost, I don't end up in a farmer's market or a wine bar. I don't find a beautiful vintage sweater or uncover the perfect Kodak moment. I end up in an alley, near a train station, in an industrial neighborhood, alone. This seems charming for about 30 seconds. I believe that there are 5 stages of being lost: amusement, research, determination, anxiety, and surrender. After spending some time meandering through these alleys, which I convinced myself was amusing, phase 1, I thought, no matter how charming this all is, I don't feel like getting mugged, so perhaps I should consult my GPS. As I begrudgingly removed my phone from my bag, I began my quest to quickly and discreetly figure out where in the hell I was, phase 2. Since I had now missed my tour, I decided to head toward the Oude Kerk. There's no way to miss that building. It's the oldest in Amsterdam with a very unique silhouette. It's like the North Star for sailors, the Empire State Building for New Yorkers. After taking quick directional guidance from the GPS, I decided to proceed on my journey vacationista-like. I walked into a beautiful pastry shop, grabbed a cappuccino, and asked for the most efficient passage to the church that serves as religious center, cultural complex, and prostitution plaza. I went forward determined I would most certainly get to the Oude Kerk. I had directions, I had my phone. I'm smart and accomplished. I solve very challenging problems every day. I can totally do this. I'm going to find the Oude Kerk and start my journey anew with confidence. And in 10 minutes, as a series of clouds revealed a blue sky and as bells chimed, the church was in my line of sight. It was a revelation. Down one street, around a corner, and it vanished. Another set of wrong turns, and I was back where I was 20 minutes ago. My confidence deteriorated into anxiety, phase 4. It was only noon. I had 1.5 days left in Amsterdam, and I hadn't seen anything at all. I was near mental collapse, and so, with pride broken, I put my GPS on walking mode and followed it with a frenzied but robotic exactness. It was obvious that I was a tourist, not a vacationista. While others had been walking along, enjoying the gorgeous day, I had been breaking out in a sweat, teary-eyed, making endless circles. They were laughing, and I was having panic attacks. And so I surrendered, phase 5, and took a cab to the Rijksmuseum, because despite my rubbish sense of directions, I wasn't going to miss seeing the Dutch masters. I love museums. They are quiet. The light is crisp and precise. When I walk into a museum, I feel space in my brain that I thought was shut tight give a lazy afternoon yawn, inviting me to consider something more meaningful. I'm at ease in museums. However, did you know that the Rijksmuseum is 1 million square feet? Did you know that it is said to take 8 days to view the collection, and I had scheduled 2.5 hours? Did you know it was designed by the Dutch, and upon check-in, I found out that it's so confusing that you have to navigate the museum by a GPS app. It took me nearly 15 minutes and 2 docents to figure out where the first gallery of my audio tour was located. This included walking up and down one stairwell 5 times. Nevertheless, I enjoyed the 120-minute guide through the museum and saw the Night Watch and, of course, the Milkmaid. But after rushing through the tour and frantically trying to use the GPS, I felt like I hadn't really seen the museum. Despite the navigational hazard, I explored the rooms not included in the tour and found a work far more interesting than any bevy of Rembrandts. It was Terbruggen's depiction of the Greek philosopher Heraclitus. In the work, Heraclitus is found in profound dialogue, perhaps repeating his most famous quote to his wallmate Democritus. He says, "Everything changes and nothing remains still. You cannot step twice into the same stream." Standing there, in the cool, dark corner of Rijksmuseum room 2.1, finally starting to feel at home at this colossal museum, not worrying about what painting I needed to see next, not depending on GPS to guide me, I took a moment to think about the plight of Heraclitus and his world, where everything that appeared to stay still was constantly moving. My feet at this point were throbbing from the 8.5 miles I had walked that day, and my brain was tired from calculating thousands of routes and their permutations. To be honest, I was exhausted, and the endless galleries had all started to look the same, one piece of Delftware after another. But in Little Room 2.1, where there were no expectations, I looked at Heraclitus and understood the fragment that made him famous. I could no more step into Heraclitus's same stream twice as I could tour the Rijksmuseum 2 times and notice the same works of art. And so it was with the twisting nautical turns in the city of Amsterdam. The streetscape could never stay static in my brain because I was too busy noticing how it was constantly changing. The boats, the houses, the bicycles, they were the same and different, creating a moving image that I could only observe but never trace. In our desire to understand a place, we want to freeze it in our brain. We want to make a map of it. But in using that map, we are taught to think of a place for how it is currently navigated, not how it could be. We are interested in having the same experience as everyone else. We are encouraged to make memories of landmarks. As a visitor, a place is constantly revealing and concealing itself, surprising and bewildering you, making you feel awkward and at ease. It cannot be pinned down. It is uncomfortable. It does not follow maps or timetables, seasons or moods. It is like getting to know a new lover shyly with purpose. It requires patience and attention. It is palpitatingly present, yet ever elusive. I thought I wanted an accurate mental map of Amsterdam, but what I really wanted was to experience the city, its colors and sounds, architecture and gardens. In my romanticism, I wanted to make up stories of maritime deals gone wrong, unrequited desire, and the peacefulness of preparing a container of milk. Getting lost is the only way to accomplish this. The whole day I fought against what I should have been doing all along, what had been happening on its own. After coming home, what I remembered most about Amsterdam wasn't its streets or canals, definitely not the coffee houses or the red light district. I remember its 21 churches. I remember waking up to church bells each morning, hearing them incrementally chip away at the day with a simplicity that brought me peace and clarity. You see, I wasn't meant to wander around the streets of Amsterdam to find the Gossen Diamond House or the Oude Kerk. I was meant to wander around lost so I could listen to the church bells, to be reminded why I was on vacation to begin with. And when I started this journey, I had no idea that that was going to be my Amsterdam. I would have never known this had I been married to a map. Like Heraclitus' stream, Amsterdam and her endless passageways of water cannot be duplicated, let alone mastered, because you will never see the same canal twice. And this is the secret of every vacationista. She embraces the charm of a city for what it is, not how it accommodates her schedule. She knows that an adventure is the thing you haven't planned for, not the thing that you have. She knows that if you can do that, you can go anywhere in high heels, find a cozy restaurant, and look like a local.